What happens when your child says, I don't want to go back? Today, we're talking about what that moment looks like for a parent and what you can do next. We'll get into it after I hit this music. Joining me this week on Breaking Bullying is best-selling author and coach Rosie Thames. Rosie, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me, Tim.
Yes, I appreciate you coming on. So tell me, what happened to your kids?
Yeah, so as a mother, one of the hardest things I've had to go through is watching both my children experience bullying, even in a Christian school environments where you expect for them to be safe. So my daughter, I believe she was in the first grade. I'm trying to remember the timeline because she's
Yeah,
18. She's about to be 18 now, but she dealt with bullying at a very young age. And so it was two instances. There was a boy in her class who would push her and mistreat her. And I remember she would come home and she's like, I don't want to call nobody's name, but she's like,
yeah,
this little boy in my class, we'll just call him Nate. That's not his real name.
sure.
And she was like terrified of this little boy. When I tell you he's really little, because my daughter, when I actually saw this little boy, I used to picture him like this big kid, right? And I look at this little boy, I'm like, that little boy, terrorizing you, right? And he used to mistreat her. And I remember how heartbreaking it was hearing her talk about it. But I don't,
What was Yeah, so what was the mistreatment? Like, what was he doing?
he put like during playtime, she pushed her against a rail. I remember her talking about that. He pushed her against a rail and would say mean things to her. Like it was an everyday thing. I just remember with her, she was just terrified of this little boy. He would
Yeah.
just push her down, say things to her in front of her friends. It was both verbal and physical. Okay.
Hmm.
And I used to see this little boy, and I'm like, "Dear Lord, help me." Because I mean, this was a Christian school environment, and his parents were pretty nice. Like it's always like that, The to me, like we have great relationship with the parents because Christian schools are usually smaller knit, so you know everybody there. But it was it was one of those moments where she was just coming home just terrified of that. Now there was another incident. This boy was not in her class, and I don't know if I share this with you, but she was 3 grades above her, and she was going to the restroom, and this little boy pinned her in a corner and touched her inappropriately.
Oh,
And
wow.
so there was, like, things going on at this one school that was so it was just too much. It was too much for me to witness my child. At this time, it was my daughter that was experiencing it at this first Christian school that we placed them in, and I was like, "No, I just can't do this," and her grades were dropping. You could tell, like, she can't focus, like, the things that she was experiencing was adding to, her focus, not being able to concentrate because she's worried about her safety and
Yeah,
her well-being and the environment that she's in. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
She's in constant flight or fight mode right now too. She's scared.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
me witnessing that and everything like that, I just made the decision, me and her dad, to just pull them out of that school. It was just not
Yeah.
working out.
Before you came to that decision, did you have any attempts first to talk to the school?
Oh, yes. Yes. So, even with the last story I told you about the little boy touched her. It was like we all were in the principal with this child's father. I mean, found out they were going through the family was going through a whole lot of stuff, divorce and all of that. And I,
It's not your problem.
it's not my problem. I know. And me being the empath, being very compassionate, I'm like, because they were thinking about expelling the kid, and I'm like, oh, no, I know they're going through. I don't want that to be an added burden. And so I didn't push for the little kid to be expelled, but she still see that kid every day and still had to deal with that fear of being bullied, even though the principal was on top of it, even though the parent was on top of it and, gave him a good talk, like in front of us, like this will not happen again. And he was really appreciative that we didn't push for the son to be removed from the school and things like that. But the fact that that little kid was still there, even though he wasn't bothering my child anymore, she still felt unsafe.
Yeah. Did the teachers do anything, like maybe move her desk, or did they try, like, not put them in the same could they can they move them to a different classroom? Like,
So that incident with that kid, he was in a different class. So he was 3
okay.
grades above her.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah. So if she was in the 3rd grade, he was in the 6th grade or something like that. Like I'm being being so long ago, I forgot what grade exactly
Yeah.
it happened to her, but they weren't in the same class, which was good for me or for her,
Yep.
I would think. But the fact that, like I said, Christian school environments are pretty small. You see everybody every day. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
see them in assembly, you see them going to the playground. You bump into people. It is a small environment. So with that, seeing how she was dealing with that, I just decided it's time to find a different school.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to tell you something though that really stood out to me about my daughter. It was in that school. My daughter did something that blew my mind. Okay. So the way she handled this bullying experience is what really stood out to me, how she processed it. So she created, so I'm traveling and I told you I didn't bring the book, I didn't bring it. But what she did, my daughter got printer paper. Like I happened to see this little book that she created. You know how you just grab a bunch of printer paper and you start
Yep.
drawing stuff and writing stuff? This girl created a whole book. And I'm looking at the book and it had a face. She drew a face of a little girl and it looked terrified, right? Like, and it says The Bully Story by Layla Thames. That's the name of my daughter. She was 9 at the time and she wrote a story with, I guess it was like 20 pages pencil of her experience. Like, like this, she was just pouring out her heart on this paper. She took the printer paper, she stapled it together, she illustrated it, and she told her story. And that impacted me so deeply. That really did impact me. And it showed me the power of using our voice. And
Yep.
it became one of the reasons why I do the things I do today, helping other people tell their stories, because my daughter inspired me.
That's awesome. Did she write that when she was still at that school?
Yes,
So that's
she
kinda how
did.
she was still kinda coping with it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
My
So
gosh.
so how long after that incident, from the bathroom incident to meeting with the principal and deciding not to expel him, how long did she stay in that school before you decided to, like, "You know what? We're gonna pull her out"?
I think a couple years, maybe a year or two later.
Okay, so it still hung on, that that fear still hung on that long.
Yes. Yeah,
Wow.
and I think the kid actually, it's crazy. I think the kid actually stopped going to the school, and but his sister was still going to the school, and so every time there was like a game, he would show up. So even
Okay.
when he left, right? So he ended up leaving when she was still there, but she would tell me, cuz I found out, and she would tell me, well, his sister still go to the school, and so when they have like sport games and things like that, he would come and support, and she would see him and it still had an effect on her still.
Yeah, that's sad. And then your son
Yes.
is also experiencing some bullying. Tell us about that.
Oh my goodness, Lord. So more recently my son went through even more intense experiences at the Christian school that I actually transferred them to. And I love both of these schools. They're great benefits. I'm not gonna bash Christian school or whatever. I think it's a learning experience for me that in any environment, whether it's public or Christian, you're going to find a little bit of the same
Yep.
things. I
Yep.
guess public school is just more because the ratio of children is so much greater. You're going to see it even more, but it's
Yeah.
still going to be evident because we're dealing with people from society, right? From our community. So he experienced bullying that included racial remarks and physical incidents as well. So he was called names, he was compared to a monkey and told things like white is better than black. Okay, so
Wow.
these are some of the things that he experienced. And so there was even a moment when another child in his classroom, I remember he came home and he was like, "Mom, my tailbone hurts so much." Like he was in pain, and I was like, "Why is your tailbone hurting?" And he told me that one of his classmates, he was getting ready to sit down on his chair. My son was getting ready to sit on his chair, and his classmate pulled the chair away, and he fell on his butt and
Oh,
hurt his tailbone.
yeah.
And so for days he was complaining about this pain, and reached out to his teachers. I reported it. Trust me, I don't like I'm one of those parents. I'm reaching out to other parents, be like texting them, be like, your child did this, like what's going on, we having that conversation. I'm messaging the school because they know we know each other.
Yeah.
So this one incident was like really this one that I'm about to tell you is the one that is like mind blown. So he was dealing with a situation with one of the kids. And mind you, they're and my son, they're really they hang out, they come over for sleepover. I don't understand like what's going on here. They come over to our house and sleep over and all of that stuff, right? So I'm like, what is going on at school? Like, why are these things happening? So he was having a situation with one of his particular classmates, with the one that did the racial slur and
Mhm.
all this stuff. And I had a conversation with the mom. The mom was like, "Okay, we're gonna like really watch these kids." And she talked to her son, and we're like, "Okay." They apologized to my son and everything like that. So we were at it was a sports day. They were having a meet. It was a track meet. So my son was doing shot put, and me and another parent was sitting next to each other, just talking it up, right? We were just having a great time. It was a beautiful day. The kids were doing so great. And so the lady I was talking to, her little boy, and I'm talking about this little boy is way younger than my son. So my son must have been around 12 at the time, 12, 13. This boy was probably around 7, and I sat in my chair. This little boy went up to my son and threw his drink on my son.
Wow.
His mom was sitting right next to me. So it was me, his mom, and then my son was over. Like we were all here. Like I'm talking about parents was right here. Okay? It wasn't like it was just kids, no adult, no parent. We were all here. And I'm looking like, I can't believe that just happened. Like, what possessed you to go throw this drink on my child? And your mom is right here, and I'm right here. Like, so apparently, the other kid that was bullying my child told this little guy to go pour a drink on my son. It was just all crazy. I was like, when I tell you that moment just really did it for me.
What did that child's mom do that when she saw her own son doing that to your son?
Oh, yeah, it took a lot of her to not like, because listen, in my culture, we don't spare the what they said, don't spare the rod and spoil the child. Right? But yeah, it took a lot of out of her, to compose herself. But she did talk to him right then and there, like, why did you do that? And ask him, and that's how we found out somebody else told him to do it. 'Cause she was like,
Okay.
"Why did you do that? Like, what made you do that?" And he was like, "This other young kid." And then when we got with the other kid, the older kid, he was like, "No, I didn't say that." But I'm like, "Why would this little kid lie?" Like,
Yeah.
we knew what happened, but it was just one of those moments. It was so heartbreaking because my son, he was just sitting there like frozen, and I could just see the tears in his eyes, and it was really heartbreaking to watch my child.
Were these the
experience.
same kids that he's been dealing with?
Yes. Yeah. So it was several kids. So it was like this one was a set of brothers, right? Then we have another one. We had another one that was like, oh my gosh, like he and this situation is particularly with my son, right? That was just every year, this one child, it was just always constant incidents every day, like between me and my son, and him being bullied. And so that, so every time I would report it, it would go up to the principal office, and they would, bring us in, bring the child in, and I just remember this one, um, this one particular boy, he stopped going to the school, and I guess he wasn't just bothering my child, he was like bothering a lot of other kids.
Yeah.
So they ended up taking him out the school, and from my understanding, because my son told me this recently, I was having a conversation with him. He's like, "Mom, that boy, he's good now." Because we were planning a birthday party for my son, and he was saying he want to invite certain folks from his previous school, because right now he's homeschooled. I took him out of that school because of just it was just another thing,
Yeah.
like the bullying. He's not able to focus, his grades were dropping, and I'm like, you know what, and he's been begging to come to be homeschooled since the pandemic, when they first experienced the homeschool kind of
Yeah.
environment, how they had to do that for like a month or so. And from then he's like, "Mom, I like this. I want to do it." He does really better in a online environment. And I used to like shun it. I'm like, "No, you're going to school. You need to be around other children and to social skills." But this year we decided to just embrace that idea, and I think it's been really working out where he's focused.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to deal with the distraction and like the bullying and all of that. So
Yeah.
it was a lot to experience with both my kids.
So you mentioned one incident, how the school handled it. Was there other times where the school maybe just kind of brushed you off? Like, why did it keep happening to your son if it's the same kid?
I did kind of feel like that at one point, because I think it was the most recent situation where I messaged the principal, and I didn't get the response that I needed in time. Like it took weeks, and I followed up with her, and I said, "Listen, this is very urgent. I've sent you this message like weeks ago. Why is it taking so long for a response? Why
Mhm.
can't we get a meeting?" And I mean, when we did have the meeting, she was really nice, because I thought it was going to turn out differently. And she explained herself. She was doing, I guess, she said she was, looking into the matter and getting some information. She did do her due diligence and things like that. I felt like they could have handled it faster, especially with the complaints wasn't just from my understanding, speaking to
Yeah.
the principal, it wasn't just my son. It was other parents dealing with this, or other kids experiencing the same things, and the kids were still in the school. Honestly speaking, I don't know if it is because those kids, like the brothers I was telling you about, their mom is also a teacher at the school. So I don't know
Okay.
if that added to it. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But it was, I felt like they could have handled the situation better and quicker.
Yeah.
I think that and not only that, I believe one of the issues I had was there weren't any consequences, any serious consequences, and I think that was it for me. It's like they weren't holding people accountable
Yeah.
quick
And
enough. And that's a problem.
that's so in my area where I live, the school district passed this I don't know what to call it, but anyways, there's no clear consequences for bullying. It's just case by case. And
Mm,
they give their opinion on how they see. So There is an incident where this kid got stabbed in the back by a pencil,
Mm-mm. Wow.
and that wasn't considered bullying at all because they have these questions and they rate it between 1 through 5, and it's all opinion based, and it's like,
How is that
"What?"
not bullying? Like, that is
But I don't know. I just
that's an assault. That's
it
a jail time right
yeah,
there.
it is. So, apparently that mom, she has a large family, from what I heard, picked up her kids and went to different school, but I did get a copy of the bullying incident report from her, and that's how I knew about the number system. Like, this is crazy. Like, this is how they determine what's bullying, is throw opinion on something. But that's what they do. That's why there's no clear consequences.
Okay.
And one other thing I learned is that if you email the principal or teacher about a bullying incident and you're not following what's in their policy, the school's policy for bullying, that's considered a complaint. That's not considered a report. Because it
Mm,
states that even in our school, in our district's policy, if you don't fill out this form, it's not a complaint. No, no, sorry. It's not a report, it's a complaint. So they don't have to really do anything with it right away. So unless you don't follow your school district's anti-bullying policy, which as a parent, you don't know that.
no, nobody told us that.
I only knew this because when I ran for school board a couple years ago, I looked into that, and that's how I first time I found out about this whole thing. I didn't know about that before. But it's like this, and they don't make this stuff easy to find. Like I had to dig through my school's website to even find the policy and to find the form because it's buried. They don't want you to have it. At least
Oh
that's the way it
my god.
seems like. So it's like this should be pasted homepage of the school district. Like
Don't don't
have an issue, click here or something like that. Like when you go to like a website, contact us if you have an issue. Like, it's right there on the front page. But no, this stuff is buried. So it's probably why you didn't get a response. So it's not just private schools. It's like a lot of schools these days because
wow.
my thought is to protect them from getting sued or getting in trouble. Because if you don't follow the policies that they made, then it's on you.
Wow. So
But
that's why you do the things you do because this gotta be known. Like, it's something that needs to be known. Like, who woulda I didn't know there was a reporting channel and it has to be done a certain way. I thought, okay, the first step is complain. And then they will
yeah,
say, okay, Mrs. Thames, go ahead and file this report. But nobody told me about no report because they don't want that on their record.
yeah. If you're watching or listening to this podcast, I will put my school's anti-bullying policy in the description for the link for it. You can see it for yourself, but that's what you have to follow. It even says any emails or whatever, phone calls, whatever. I don't know the exact wording, but if you're not doing it the way they say to do it, it's not a report, it's a complaint, and they treat those differently. It's just crazy because I never knew that until I ran for school board one year.
I love that. Thank you
That's
for sharing
unfair
that
for
with me.
parents. But yeah,
Yes.
but next time, going back to your kids though, so at that point with your oldest son, is your daughter still in school yet, or are all your kids homeschooled now? Do you pull them all out of
No,
school?
my daughter begged to go to public school. Thank you. And I just allowed her to because with the
Okay.
experience that we've had with private school, thinking I'm protecting them, and everything I thought I was protecting them from happened pretty much.
Yeah.
I was like, what's gonna hurt, right?
Yeah.
So now she's in the 7th grade. This is her first year in in public school, and she absolutely love it. All her life, she was going to private school. Her, my son, my middle child, and this is her first time in the public school. She love it, and this is the first time my middle child is
Yeah.
homeschool. Doing the online school.
Yeah, kids are different. Like my second oldest daughter went to private school and then she didn't want to go anymore. She got to a point where she came rebellious against the teacher. So it's like, she's not welcome back. So, but she thrives in public school and my oldest thrived in,
Wow,
in private school. I mean, kids are different and that's just the way it is. Um,
wow,
and then your kids obviously thriving in homeschool, and homeschooling is becoming very popular these days. Like there's so much support these days for homeschool. We just had a guy on a couple episodes ago who runs, it's called Include Education. He runs his own homeschool, like I'm not gonna say network, but he runs these science classes and STEM classes for homeschool kids that come to his place for an hour to sometimes 4 to do their science and then go somewhere else to do other activities. But
Wow.
homeschool is not what it used to be back, like, when I thought of it. Like, your mom sits there and teaches you everything.
No,
It's like, there's so much cool things these days.
no,
Makes me
it's
wanna get my
actually
kids in it.
yeah, it's actually a whole thing. It's like a it's not even homeschool. I keep saying the wrong thing. It's online school. So he has a whole like teachers is like taking classes online. He is at is a Texas Academy online academy, and he
Okay.
has a whole curriculum, a whole schedule, and he knows when to go to class, and he sits there with other kids on this virtual class, and he has his teachers that come on. It's a whole thing. So I don't even do nothing with him. He just
Yeah.
go to class online.
Any advice you have for parents that may be struggling with their kids and bullying and thinking about switching schools? Because I think some parents think that when you take your kid out who is being bullied, it's a sign of I'm giving up or I'm running away from the problem. What do you have to say to people who think like that or their thought process may be kind of like that?
Yes, I understand the feeling. I do. I definitely understand the feeling. So what I would tell the parent that is dealing with situations like these is listen to to your children for sure. Let them know that you understand and you really care. I think the biggest thing for us as parents is letting our children know that we're there for them. We have their back regardless, right? And advocating for them. Like I am got you. Like they got to see that they can find safety and comfort in you as a parent. Because when they go to school and they feel torn down, they feel like they're picked on, like nobody cares for them. They have to see that somebody is there for them because that is why these children end up doing other things that we don't want them to
Yeah.
do, right?
Yeah.
They got to know that there's somebody out there that can fight for them. And we have to be that person for them, right? So I did that for my child. She saw me like, listen, if these schools don't do something, ugh,
Yeah. And at the end of the day, your story does have a happy ending. So for one, your daughter published a book at what, 9 years old?
at 9 years old, she
That's
wrote her own book, and I took her serious, and I went to work and got it out there. I did the pre-launch. I'm reworking it right now. She's like,
okay.
"Mom." But yeah, I'm reworking it because I'm like, there's so much to this book. But I just love the fact that she did that and it inspired me to
Yeah.
become the person that I am today. So yeah, I would, that's what I would tell them. Listen to your children, take them seriously because sometimes I know growing up when I would tell my mom something, she would think I'm the troublemaker.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Mom, this person did this or this teacher or whatever." And she would say, "What did you do?" No, don't
Yeah.
do that. Don't do that. So listen to them, take them seriously. Like I said, add and don't be afraid to remove them from the environments that's harming them. You are not losing. You are not the one like, I mean, sometimes giving in what seems like people may think that, oh, I can't believe that I'm giving in or whatever. That's is can be the most powerful thing you can do is to realize that this is no longer the environment suitable for my child, and there's a better place for them, and I am going to make that decision and take that step to put them in a better place where they could thrive, okay?
Yeah.
Whether that's online schooling at home, homeschooling, putting them in a different school, but you want to make sure that your child's safety, their mental, physical, emotional well-being is top priority. And whatever you can do to make that happen, by all means do it. That's what I would
Yeah.
say.
And what I love about your story is that you guys found the positive and negative situation because if it wasn't for your daughter's bullying, not saying that this should have happened to her, but she got to write a book. You found a whole new career path this experience, and you probably never would have found it. It's just kind of weird how life can happen, and you're like, hey, there, you know, found you found the positive and something
It
that's really
gave me
hard
a
to find into.
passion. Yes,
Yes,
it gave me a passion to tell stories to help others that felt muted to unmute themselves and give them a voice and a platform to get their story out.
yeah,
Right? So, yes, that definitely inspired me. What she did was very profound, especially, I'm retired military, so I didn't know what I was going to do with my life post retirement, but now I got, I got something I'm
awesome.
very passionate about. So, yes.
So tell us a little bit more of what you do and how can people get a hold of you?
So, I am a best-selling author coach. So, what I do, I help aspiring authors to tell their stories. So I basically help them to determine what their message is, and I help them craft it and publish it. And not only do I help them craft and publish it, but I help them get it to bestseller status because I mean in this day and age, I mean I used to do this pre AI, but nowadays people can use AI to draft a book,
Yep.
you know. But there's a strategy to it because of course you have to know what's the right message that you want to put out there. Not everything you're going to want to just throw out there cuz it has to be what your audience or what your readers want to hear, right? And then I also help them be successful with that book cuz a lot of times people write a book and it's crickets. They make no sales. The book is not doing anything for them. They're not landing opportunities. So I help them to get those opportunities as well.
Awesome. And I know I have quite a few guests who've been on the show who's written books that I know some of them are kind of struggling to sell. So how can these people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can reach me on social media as you can look up Rosie Thames, so LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of the social medias as
Perfect.
Rosie Thames. And my email address is coachrosiethames@gmail.com. I also have a website, it's www.coachrosiethames.com.
Awesome. And I will put her Instagram link, her website link, all that stuff in the description. And if you're watching on YouTube or on the Empower Me TV network, you saw that information go across your screen as well. Rosie, I want to thank you so much for coming on today and sharing with us your story.
Thank you again for having me, Tim. It was such a pleasure being here with you. Man, this is awesome. I love what you're doing and I love that you're getting the message out about bullying. So thank you for doing this.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much again for coming on.
Yes, sir.